Hey, y'all, thank you for tuning in here to the Florida Gators 2025 preview and prediction. And Gator fans, your team is on a 4-game winning streak entering the 2025 football season. A year that did not look promising last year. You got just killed by Miami, killed by A&M, and you lost a heartbreaker in Knoxville last year, and things were not trending well. And I think it's fair to say Billy Napier his future in Gainesville was shaky. But you turned it around. You turned it around with that LSU win. You turn around and beat Ole Miss. You beat your rival Florida State, and then you went on to win your bowl game. So Gators are trending nicely. And the thing I like about Florida is they have a quarterback in DJ Lagway who I think is going to be a star. And I really think he's going to be able to lead this team. Now, one thing I really like about this team, and I'm going to get more into this later, is the fact that DJ Lagway has a very talented offensive line, which is going to help him immensely in 2025. You won 8 games, including that bowl game, but man, that strength of schedule was so tough last year. In 2024, it was the 7th hardest schedule that anybody played. And it would have been higher if Florida State, wouldn't have just only won 2 games last year, which kind of drove your strength of schedule down. But again, in 2025, you have right now, at least on paper, the 8th hardest schedule that you're going to have to play, and that may end up being even harder when after the teams get done playing this year. But the schedule makers did not do you all any favors in these back-to-back years. Just a tough schedule. But I think Billy Napier did a good job last year, and I think he's going to have a good year in 2025 as well. So, as far as the Florida Gators in 2025, betting markets have them winning around 7 games. That's up from last year. I think it was around 5 games last year. The betting markets had you projected, so they think you're improved this year. And I talked on this just a minute ago. The good stuff entering into 2025 is the fact that you've got 4 starters back on that offensive line. You got a center who's an All-American guy. You got a tackle who they project may even go into the first round in the next NFL draft. You got 2 guards that have a lot of game experience that started last year. They're back. So a lot of good stuff for Florida coming into this season. As a matter of fact, this offensive line is the 4th best according to Pro Football Focus. So huge, having Barber, Harris, George, and Slaughter, all those guys coming back this year is going to pay huge dividends. Another thing that you should be looking forward to is Jaden Ball, who's coming back as your running back. He had over 600 yards. He emerged last year as a freshman. He looks very good. Now, I kind of am worried about the depth behind him, but if he can stay healthy, he should have a great year behind that offensive line. DJ Lagway, we talked about him earlier. I think he's a top 3 quarterback in this conference. As long as he stays healthy, Florida's going to have a promising season. Now, behind him, Harrison Bailey, he played at Tennessee. I don't know if DJ Lagway goes down. I think y'all are in trouble. But as long as he stays healthy, he will be fine. So that is one area of concern, quarterback depth. Linebackers, you're going to be playing a whole new group of starters. You lose Wingo, Shamar James, Moten. They're all gone. These guys that are replacing them do have playing experience, but they've not been starters. Wide receiver is another area that I'm a little bit concerned back with. You got Eugene Wilson coming back from injury. You got Sturdivant, that is a transfer from UCLA. He's got like 800 yards over the last couple years. And Wilson had a great year in 2023. So you've got some quality receivers, but I don't know about anything behind them. So, but those are 2 good options right there. Depth is a little bit of an issue for the Florida Gators in some spots, and that's kind of what differentiates like your Tennessees, your Floridas, your A&Ms. They're not quite in the tier of Alabama, Georgia, Texas in that depth, and the portal has not helped that with these players if they don't get immediate playing time going somewhere else. So anyway, let's get into this schedule for the Florida Gators. Again, like I talked earlier, it is a very tough schedule, but the season starts off with a cupcake. You play Long Island. It's an FCS school. I'm not going to spend much time talking about this game. It'll be nasty. I would say that I know they're probably getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to play this game, and they're going to get massacred in the swamp. So you open up 1-0 after the win against Long Island. Then you play a USF team that is a pretty decent team. They're projected to be around a 6-win team. Alex Golish is the head coach. He was the former offensive coordinator for my Tennessee Vols. Offensively, they were a top 50 team last year. They got like 17 starters back. So, you should win this game, but this is a decent team. So this will give you a little bit of a decent test as your schedule gets harder. It'll be interesting to see how you play in this game against USF. And it's an in-state rival game. So USF guys are going to play really, really hard against Florida in this game. They competed against these guys in high school. They know each other well. So it should be a decent little game, but Florida should win comfortably. So you're 2-0 after that. And then we go to week 3. You go to LSU. You go to Death Valley, a team you beat last year that kind of propelled you and kind of gave you momentum to finish that 2024 strong. This will be a night game. It's a 7:30 kickoff. I think LSU is going to be improved this year. I think they're about a 9 or 10 win team. They're very, in my opinion, they could very much be in the playoffs at the end of the year. They have the talent and they have the quarterback to get there. Garrett Nussmeier is the leading QB as far as passing yards from last year in the SEC. Threw for over 4,000 yards last year. He's back. So I think it's going to be a really good game. I think right now LSU's about a 7-point favorite. Florida could win this game, no doubt, but I think LSU is it's a little bit difficult to go into Death Valley at night. You beat them last year, revenge factor. So I think you get your first loss in game 3 there, and you're 2-1. Okay. Then we move on. We move on here to game 4 at Miami. Now, Miami is a team that just absolutely eviscerated you all last year. I had Florida picked to win this game last year, and I was just dead wrong. Cam Ward, who was the first pick in the draft last year, he threw for almost 400 yards in this game. They ran for close to 150 yards in this game. So they had over 150 yards of offense on you all in Gainesville. This is a completely different Miami team. They're still very talented. Carson Beck has come in from Georgia. And I like Miami on the offensive line and the defensive line, but where I have my concerns with Miami are in the receivers. They're losing like all their big receivers from last year. They're losing Cam Ward. Carson Beck is a competent quarterback. I think he's a good quarterback, but he's not on Cam Ward's level. The other thing about this game is it's going to be played in Hard Rock Stadium in Miami. You're not going to the Orange Bowl in a hostile environment. There'll be, in my opinion, as many Florida fans in that stadium as there is Miami Hurricane fans. This is going to come down to me between DJ Lagway and Carson Beck. And I think the team rallies better behind DJ Lagway than they do Carson Beck. That's how highly I think of DJ Lagway. I think he's going to have an amazing year. I think he's a great quarterback. And if I have to pit these two quarterbacks against each other, I'm going to give it to DJ Lagway. I think Florida is still ticked off how Miami last year went in there after the game, told the recruits to come to us. This is going to be a revenge game for Florida. I think they go into Miami, and I think they get a win, and you're 3-1. So big win. Now, you play Texas the next week, and they may be the number 1 team in the country, okay? Texas has a top 5 defense from last year, and a lot of those guys are coming back. They probably have the best secondary in the country. They got 3 starters coming back from that secondary. Now, Arch Manning is coming back. Everybody has anointed him as the best quarterback in the country for the most part, but he hasn't really played a lot, guys. He doesn't have a lot of big-time game experience. He's really not done anything against a big-time opponent. He's not. Now, I do think he's going to end up being a good quarterback, but how long will it take? I think, they've lost some playmakers on the outside. They lost some tackles. Now, they do have the interior of that offensive line's coming back for Texas, so they're still going to be really good on the offensive line. But this game is in Gainesville. And Texas embarrassed Florida last year. DJ Lagway didn't play. This is going to be the biggest upset in the SEC, in my opinion, this year. I have Florida beating Texas in the 5th game of the year, and I think you improve from 4-1. I think you get it done in Gainesville. People do not understand how hard it is to win in Gainesville when Florida has a very good football team. And I think Florida has a very good football team this year. I think they shocked the world, and Florida is 4-1 after Game 5. So, Game 6 here, A&M. Now, A&M killed you all last year. Marcel Reed was just running all over the place. Moss, the running back, Le'Veon Moss, he ran for over 100 yards. Marcel Reed's not a very good thrower of the football. They ranked, I think, somewhere in the 80s as far as a pass offense last year, A&M did. But he threw for a couple TDs, had around 150 yards as far as throwing the football in this game, so he did a decent job. This is at A&M. A&M's still very talented. This is one of those games where you're coming off the Texas game, you're coming off Miami, you're coming off Texas. I think at some point you gotta kind of come down a little bit off that adrenaline rush. I think A&M gets you, and I think you've got 2 losses after that. But I think it'll be a very good game. A&M to me has to prove that they got to throw the football a lot better in 2025. That's what really hindered them from going to the next level last year. But I still think A&M wins. But anyway, let's go to Game 7 here. Mississippi State. Now, Mississippi State's a team that they were the worst team in the SEC last year. They just couldn't do anything right. Offensively, they were okay, but defensively, they were just awful. They're going to be better this year, but it's not going to matter, really, for the most part. Florida beat them last year handily at Mississippi State. This year it's in Gainesville. I don't think there's any scenario, though, where Mississippi State goes in there and beats Florida. I think Florida gets that win and goes to 5-2. Then you have the world's largest cocktail party in Game 8 against Georgia. Now, I think this has the possibilities of being one of the best games in the SEC this season. Now, Georgia is kind of like the last 5 to 10 years really just owned this series. Most of the games have not even been competitive. Florida last beat Georgia in 2020 in the COVID year. But I think Georgia, even though they're very talented this year, they're very vulnerable. They got a new quarterback in Connor Stockton. Florida had Georgia on the ropes last year. I think they were up at halftime. DJ Lagway got injured. They had to bring in a quarterback, the 3rd or 4th string quarterback who had not played any, because Graham Mertz was hurt, earlier in the year, so they had to go to the 3rd string quarterback. So the game was a wrap after DJ Lagway got injured. I would have loved to seen what happened if DJ Lagway could have stayed in that ball game. So this is going to be a good football game, and it would not surprise me if Florida actually wins this game. But I've got Georgia winning because I do think Georgia's just a little bit more talented. They have some more depth. But it would not surprise me if Florida wins this game. But anyway, have you losing that game going to 5-3? Now I have you in Game 9. You go to Kentucky. Kentucky's going to be battling with Mississippi State to be one of the worst teams in the SEC in 2025. They're just a mess. You got assistant coaches leaving. The coach will be fired, Stoops, at the end of this year, in my opinion. I don't see any scenario he's coming back. They're not going to go to a bowl game. Now, you've not beat Kentucky and Lexington in 8 years, but you'll beat them this year, and you're going to go to 6-3. And now, after the Kentucky game, you're going to play Ole Miss. Now, Ole Miss is a team that might struggle out the gates because they've got a new quarterback in Austin Simmons. He's been in that system, but he's not been the starting quarterback. He's been behind Jackson Dart the last couple years, but he's very talented. I watched him play a little bit last year. He has the tools to be a very good quarterback. They get you a little bit later in the year. It's in Oxford. Now, Ole Miss is losing a lot of key pieces. They lose their receivers. They're losing a lot of key defensive guys, especially on that defensive line. But I think it being in Oxford, I think that gives them just enough to push them over the top in this game, and I have them winning this game in a very, very close game, which really it's a coin flip game, but I think Ole Miss wins this game, which puts you at 6-4. But you come back the next week and play a Tennessee team at home that beat you last year in Knoxville in overtime. I think you get revenge. Tennessee has not beat Florida in Gainesville since 2003. Tennessee has too many question marks on that offensive line. Then we have one starter coming back from last year. Quarterback room right now is a mess. We lost our starting quarterback, and we've got a couple guys battling it out, and in fall camp. So a lot of uncertainty there. Who Florida's quarterback's going to be. I really like Florida's offensive line. Tennessee's going to have a good defense this year, but offensively, can we go in there and score enough points to beat Florida? That's a big question mark. I like Florida more in this game. I do think it'll be competitive, but I think Florida beats Tennessee and goes to 7-4. You finish the year out in Game 12 against Florida State. Florida State was just an absolute joke last year. They only won 2 games. The experiment with DJ Ukulele, who they got out of Oregon State, completely failed. He couldn't do anything. Defensively, they couldn't do anything. They were, I think, the worst team in America last year in giving up sacks. So they were just a train wreck. Now, they have come in, Florida State has brought in 2 new coordinators to try to fix this issue. They've brought in new players. They've done what they can to try to fix this problem, but you can't just throw all these players in here and these coordinators in 1 year and expect to fix everything. I think they're still around a 500 team in 2025, and you've got to come to Gainesville this year. I think Florida takes care of business. I think they win actually pretty comfortable in this game, and I think Florida is going to end the year at 8-4. And Vegas has you projected to win around 7 games. So I think winning 8 games with that schedule you're playing is a very successful season. I think Billy Napier, no doubt, gets another year, and I think Florida continues the momentum that they've been picking up here. So I think Florida has a good year. I like this team. I like this quarterback. I like this offensive line. We'll see what happens. But guys, I appreciate you tuning in. I'll talk to y'all next time.